Okay, and it's been a minute. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, hosted by Viedoc in collaboration with our colleagues at Metronomia. We're happy to have you with us, whether you're joining live or watching this later on demand. Before we start, a short disclaimer. Everything we share today is based on our experience, our expertise, and what we've seen work in the field. It's not a one-size-fits-all prescription, but we hope it gives you new perspective, practical ideas, or some thoughts to take back with you to your teams. Today's topic is one we believe deserves more attention. What if quality strategy was your competitive edge? Too often, quality is treated just like a box to check, but if you instead treat quality as part of your strategy, not just something for compliance, you get smarter monitoring, cleaner data, and simply all around better outcomes. Now we're going to talk about how to actually do that, not in theory, but in practice, where things are complex, timelines are tight, and the pressure is on to get it right the first time. For that, we have some excellent minds from both the operational and tech side of things. Representing the operational aspect, we are pleased to have Elisabeth Steiger, Senior Director of Clinical Data Management at Metronomia. Elisabeth has more than 20 years of experience in clinical research with a sharp focus on process optimization, regulatory compliance, and team strategy. So she understands exactly how a quality mindset affects trial execution. And from the tech side, we have Maria Axetun, a manager of the study build and project management team at Viedoc. She has a respectable 15 years in the industry with a strong background in data management. I work alongside Maria, and I can tell you she is a serious person about combining efficiency and innovation, and especially when it comes to building a smarter, more adaptable workflow. And I am Lyle Wiemerslage, manager of the support and training at Viedoc. I've also worked a long time in clinical trials and have bounced back and forth between industry and academia. But my job today is just to ask questions and keep the conversation interesting. So we'll start with my first question, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So feel free to post questions in the Q&A and post in the chat if you're just having problems with audio, visual kinds of things. So first, what does it really mean to treat quality as a competitive edge in clinical trials, not merely as a compliance requirement? So who wants to take that one first?
I can take that, Lyle. So from Metronomia's experience, treating quality as a competitive edge in clinical trials means embedding robust and proactive quality management in daily life and in every aspect of the trial, from protocol design to data collection, from patient safety and regulatory compliance, because this enables organizations to stand out in terms of speed and cost efficiency, and also data reliability and scientific credibility. So within clinical data management, this includes, for example, the establishing an independent data review plan, so-called IDRP, that defines the study's critical data points and also outlines the corresponding data cleaning strategy. So, because if you proactively identify and prioritize these key data elements, the stakeholders can maintain consistent focus on what matters most. And this ensures a high quality for the primary and safety endpoints without spending too much time and resources on the less relevant information. And furthermore, this targeted approach also enhances efficiency. It supports a timely decision-making and contributes to a more streamlined and risk-based data review process throughout the whole trial lifecycle.
Very good point. I totally agree with you, Elisabeth. These are like the key points for efficiently running the trials. And I would also like, from my perspective, to highlight the importance of having a clear understanding of the data workflows and make sure that you know your data and also the EDC platform that you are using, so you can implement and follow like risk-based approaches further on. And also to like think smart, like meaning that you have clear objectives in the beginning, as mentioned by Elisabeth, with the defined critical data points when designing the study. So, and be open to a risk-based mindset, because that is what like the regulators will expect in the future and are doing now as well. One example could be to evaluate which like built-in tools your EDC system supports to help you validate your data. For example, like audit trail review, key risk indicators, plausibility checks or conditional checks, what support you have there. So these can be used for your review and data cleaning later on. Yeah, that's, I think, all I wanted to add.
Yeah, I think that just kind of we have all these regulations for a reason, basically, and they're to keep things proper. And if you do it to begin with, yeah, you're probably not going to have very many problems. Uh, I guess to follow up here, this is my favorite question that I like to ask. Do you think quality increases the cost or does it slow things down? I mean, you have a lot of people saying, yeah, move fast and break things, but does that actually apply to our industry?
In my opinion, quality does not increase cost, and it also does not slow down processes. I think it's more the contrary. It really helps you to prevent costly errors and rework, for example, in case of a poorly designed ECRF. And it also prevents delays later in the trial if critical data was not cleaned sufficiently and you realize that during data analysis. So implementing a robust and risk-based data management practice upfront reduces the protocol deviation, missing data, inconsistencies later on. So such practice can be clearly defining critical data points, as I mentioned before, and ensuring an early and streamlined data cleaning process, as well as using appropriate data management tools, as Maria described. So while there might be initial investment in quality system and planning, like the data management plan and the IDRP, according to our experience, this proactive approach streamlines the data review, and it also accelerates the database lock and facilitates faster decision making, and you're also more compliant with regulatory requirements. So in the long run, high data quality reduces the total costs and the time by avoiding the downstream issues.
Yeah, I adding on to what you mentioned, Elisabeth, like thinking ahead makes the work streams more efficient, and in the end, it also increases the quality, but also not slow things down or increase the cost, rather like the opposite. This includes that you need to have the risk-based approach in mind, not focus on processes, work streams that are already actually working, and instead like focus on the ones that needs attention. And if you implement work streams which include evaluations to support your data handling, that can be key for your data quality and efficiency. And we can take an example from our end, like in Viedoc, you have the ePro part integrated in the core EDC, and this, together with that the accounts are initiated by the site staff and that the subject can bring their own device to use for the data collection, that will make the initiation of the data collection for the subject smoother in the start. And to add, as mentioned, the subjects completes the daily diaries and questionnaires in their device, meaning like real-time data entry, and then submits it, and the site staff can then immediately in the core EDC review the data and look at it. And time windows for availability of the diaries and questionnaires, together with reminders configured to be sent out if the data are not submitted on time, will also help the sites to make sure that like the subjects are completing the data on time and within the expected time frame, meaning that this will also support the quality management of the data. And the site staff can then directly see in the ECRF if the participants are not completing forms at the expected dates. And in addition to that, Viedoc has also like reports supporting validation of the data. So the study team can review these daily or at defined intervals if expected. So you will be able to better rely on the data if you implement these type of activities in your workflow. an EDC which uses integrated ePros in the same platform, letting the patient uses their own device for the data collection, also referred to as like bring your own device, together with proper participant training in how to use the ePro tool, will all bring value to the data collection. And like practices like these and upfront discussions can reduce the inconsistencies, missing data, and in the long run, like reduce the cost and delays. So that is my view. This as well.
Yes, I think we've all worked with clients who are less sophisticated when it comes to quality. And yeah, we've all had to clean up big messes. And I think everyone would agree messes are way more difficult and time consuming to clean up than they are to make and avoid in the first place. Next question here. So one of Viedoc's mottos is people first. How do the culture and people determine quality at your respective organizations?
One, like in our organization, we encourage open feedback and willingness to change, which is something that helps in continuously improving the processes to get better. And the leaders here are also committed to create a work environment with the high psychological safety, which allows people to perform and grow without fear of making mistakes. And all of this helps to maintain high standards and quality within the company. That is what I would add.
Yeah, and I can agree with Maria. That's exactly on how we see it in Metronomia. And this is the only way how you can efficiently implement that. If you have the people on board and they live the same culture, then we provide.
It's pretty easy to spot who's a serious person who's going to be, doing things carefully and correctly versus, who's just trying to get stuff done as fast as they can and, is always in a rush. And when you have a team of people who are, careful and deliberate, it just things work smoothly and everybody has a better time. On to, let's talk some more practical examples. So with tighter regulations and increasing complexity, because studies are getting more and more difficult these days. How can teams build a stronger compliance into their workflows from the very start? So you're not, even if you have all the plan and your SOPs perfectly, written and put together, how do you handle these curveballs that come out of nowhere, from sponsor requirements to new regulatory requirements even, or changes in interpretations?
Yeah, I would to include the tools and the features available, like the standard reports I just mentioned that we have in Viedoc, and combine that together with like risk-based adoption of the processes in your organization. These are parts that will support compliance for the data collection. One example of tools that is available in Viedoc that we have is the auditory review report, which is an excellent tool for this purpose. This report, together with other reports like key risk indicator report, data entry cycle reports, missing data reports, review status reports, etc. These all can work as a base when you set your workflows. This will make you to be on top of your data and to be able to review compliance performance and where to focus, like the resources needed for that. And always remember to include training in the initial stages so you can proactively work on like the quality as early. So everyone that shall be using any data-driven tools later on, like the reports, also get training at some point prior to starting work with the tools. And Elisabeth, how do you see on this?
Yeah, I agree. So clinical data management can leverage different approaches and strategies to achieve that. But in order to ensure really a stronger compliance, from my opinion, clinical data management teams need to embed regulatory considerations directly in their workflows through proactive strategy, combining risk-based approaches. But not only that, it also means sophisticated technology allowing this direct access to the data and also real-time monitoring. And as I explained before, leveraging the risk-based approaches allows teams to prioritize the resources and the oversight and on high impact areas and ensuring the potential compliance with the issues that are identified and mitigate them early on. So the integration of that sophisticated technology, such as the advanced reporting possibilities, support that consistency and accuracy. Additionally, implementing the real-time monitoring, having the data available in real time and using them in real time enables continuous oversight and early detection of anomalies and deviations. So it allows a timely and effective corrective actions. And this also includes the audit trail, as you mentioned before, Maria. So, and it's not only a regulatory requirement, but it's also expected from authorities. And a well-maintained audit trail also provides you a valuable insights into the system activities from user behavior and data integrity. And from my experience, a regular reviewing of that information helps you to identify potential issues early on and also enhance the accountability. So if you are interested in that topic, there is a guidance available from the Society of Clinical Data Management. It's a position paper which guides you through that process and which is publicly available on the net.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, my only things I would add is just experience. Having an adaptable tool, what Maria was saying, that's also a key important thing. But the experience to know how to use it also comes into play. Some of the best monitors I've encountered were the ones who also worked as study coordinators, who have seen all the action that goes on at the lowest level and know exactly what to look for later on. That goes in also to quality and people you hire. That's not to say that people can't get into clinical research from an entry-level perspective, but having seen things from different perspectives definitely helps a lot. Okay. Yeah, going into the next question then. Where does Metronomia's operational expertise come into play in ensuring quality across studies? So, yeah, how do you handle all the different phases and, yeah, diseases and whatnot? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a continuous work. So we at Metronomia, we continuously work on a comprehensive and up-to-date understanding of CDM best practices, along with a thorough knowledge of the regulatory requirements and industry standards. So in addition, we continuously implement and utilize cutting-edge technologies, ensuring the highest level of data accuracy, integrity, and security. So, and this includes the usage of a sophisticated EDC system like Viedoc, which offers a robust reporting capability. And in addition to the risk-based approaches, we also include the development of so-called IDRPs, what I mentioned before, and conducting the audit trail reviews ourselves. So our audit trail review approach, for example, is also based on that position paper I mentioned before and I offered before. Because with that knowledge in the different key areas, we continuously provide strategic guidance to our clients, and we can provide that guidance, helping them to maximize the value and success of their clinical studies.
Yeah, I think we kind of mentioned this before, but when you have a good plan, it works in a variety of contexts. And the same thing with a well adaptable tool. Like the experience and the tool combined, I mean, they cover a lot of different things. And it's weird how companies will get pigeonholed into certain disease types or certain phases, like, oh, Viedoc is only good for phase 4 studies, but complicated, oncology studies, that's the majority of what we do actually. And I don't think our reputation really shows that. Uh, anyway, uh, next question. Have you seen regulators respond differently to trials where a risk-based quality approach was in place?
I saw a difference there. From my experience, regulators are very receptive to clinical trials where a risk-based approach was implemented. They see that this methodology demonstrates that you proactively manage the clinical trial and you try to ensure the data integrity and compliance. And therefore, authorities are very open to innovative data management strategies and tools, such as real-time analytics and AI-driven data monitoring. And moreover, authorities use such tools themselves. For example, they conduct an audit trail review as part of their oversight. And I heard one regulator wisely pointing out, you should have already seen it before the authorities pointed out to you. So, and what the regulator meant by that was, without that risk-based quality approach, you might find yourself in the unpleasant situation where the authority identifies an issue because they use these tools and which you might have overlooked using the traditional methods. Therefore, you can only benefit applying innovative technologies and risk-based approaches.
Very important information to highlight. It's just as mentioned, Elisabeth, and good input from regulatory. Yeah, and from our end, we can generally mention like how we support like regulators, and that is, for example, by our Viedoc inspection readiness package that we have. The package includes our detailed validation process and compliance documentation to meet global standards. And this package, which is always available for Viedoc admin users in our system, has received good feedback, and there is an overview of the weird content that you can download on our website to get some more details. We also see like that a risk-based adoption is what the regulators expect, as you also have pointed out earlier, Elisabeth.
Interesting.
So I guess a follow-up then to both of you. Have you seen a case where a risk-based strategy gave a real-time cost advantage? And if so, what did it look like?
Well, I've seen the opposite happen, I must admit. So in one of our studies, we had a site being flagged as high risk through the risk-based quality management approach. However, no one took the follow-up action from that. And later on, during the analysis, we saw that the data from that site lacked the robustness to support the necessary trial outcomes. And this was really bad. And this shortcoming actually ultimately comprised the integrity of the study and raised questions about the reliability of its conclusions. So as a takeaway, what we took from that is having advanced technologies and innovative approaches is really good, but it's not enough. Equally important is that you have a robust process behind that to ensure that those tools are efficiently acted upon, like risk signals and insights generated by those systems during centralized monitoring or audit trail review must lead in a timely and appropriate interventions. Because without that follow-up action, the value of even the most sophisticated tool is lost, and the risk which were designed to identify and mitigate the issues can become a real issue at the end.
Very, very good. I don't think I have any more to add, but a very good example of how it's could be we don't have process in place for how to
Even if we have AI tools that are screaming signals at us, you still have to have people understanding what those signals mean.
You need to have both, right? You need to have the tools signaling the sites which are maybe at risk, but then you also need to action on that. So both equally important, in my opinion.
Okay. Now switching gears again, collaboration and what things look like in the future. How do you see quality strategies evolving in the next 2 to 3 years?
Maybe we could start with that one. Yeah, there are a few things that I see from my end. Like one topic is like that patient-centric approaches, like including centralized clinical trials, will like quality strategies will increase with focus on these the patient-centric approaches. This includes like designing trials that are more convenient and accessible for patients, improving patient engagement, and ensuring that patient feedback is incorporated into trial design. And the decentralized clinical trials approaches also supports compliance with the regulatory requirements by providing real-time access to trial data, and that can improve patient recruitment and retention. So that I see, that's one thing. And another thing I see also as the strategy moving forward is like regulatory updates that is coming now, which will have impact on the business. The evolving regulatory landscape, including updates to guidelines such as ICH and GCP E6 revision 3, will increase new compliance challenges for all of us. And quality strategies will need to adapt to these changes by like implementing flexible systems that can accommodate regional variations while maintaining core standards. And yeah, to get some more insight on the latest ICH GCP revision, we have had a LinkedIn Live session that you can see at the LinkedIn, which is with our regulatory expert, Alan Johannes. And this is available there and will also be in the Demo Central website. So please look at that if you have time. Elisabeth, do you have any views?
I completely agree with this patient-centric approach. So we will have much more patient-centric data collection in the future. And that means that we need to ensure that the quality, not just from the site data, but also from the patient-reported outcomes, for example. And this means that we need robust technologies and monitoring processes on that, because they are key here. But also the automation and real-time reporting tools, which you mentioned before, having the patient-reported outcomes available immediately, that's really important. And dashboards and alerts will support quicker and more informed decisions and actions on that. But what I also expect is more AI and machine learning. They will play a growing role, identifying data anomalies and risks, and even support the decision-making in the future, I think. Because these tools can learn from the past data and help teams to be more proactive rather than reactive. So in my opinion, the future of quality and data management will be about combining smart technologies with robust processes.
Okay, let's do one more question and then we open it up to the Q&A. Both Viedoc and Metronomia are known for high quality. How do you think your approaches complement each other?
Yeah, good question. And very good question. And in response to that, processes and tools complement each other. And I think this is what has been a thread through the whole discussion we have had here now today. And like you need to have the risk-based approaches and workflows together with tools to support your processes. For example, like integrated EDCs, auditory review reports, etc. And it will not be enough to adapt to available technologies and innovative approaches, as I mentioned here, because you also need to have the process in place supporting expectations and the strategy. And that is where we both come in. different sites, but to make the quality better and to make better strategies. Elisabeth, anything to add?
There's almost nothing to add. I completely agree. And this is exactly what I mentioned before. It's all about combining the smart technology and robust processes. So it's exactly where Viedoc brings this sophisticated platform and we bring the operational expertise. So if this come together, we can, I think, deliver real value to the clinical trials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we covered a lot, and now let's take some Q&A questions. I can look in here and see what we have. Okay, quite a couple actually. All right. Let's see. What's the most common misconception you encounter about quality being a cost driver?
Shall I take that, or would you, Maria?
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, what I see happening very often is if you try to half implement the risk-based approach, which means that you know that you should do that, and I think, Lyle, you mentioned it before, you just do it as a check mark, a checkbox to be done, and then you implement that approach, but then you are unsure on where to cut and where to take that risk, and then you like overdrive that process and you continue to do like a 100%, even though you assess the risks up front. So that's what I see very often happening. And this is something which could be better in the future in most of the companies, from my experience. That's what I see.
Okay. Next question. I think this one's, how do you train staff to make the most out of an integrated EDC and ePro system? I would like to answer this one actually, but does anybody else want to take a first crack at it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just add quickly, like what I would suggest to do is to do a risk, what do you say, risk evaluation of like what is the most important that like the participants or the sites need to know about the ePro and EDC. What are the critical data points to collect, and how do you collect them and make sure that these are like known for the site staff to how to collect and also for the participants. But yes, Lyle, please go ahead, you as well on this one.
Training is what I do here at Viedoc, so I always have kind of an existential crisis about is this actually so easy that I don't need to train anybody? I mean, it should be just so simple that like, yeah, it should be like using a website, and everybody, navigates the web all the time, so of course they can figure this out. I guess the first critique I would make here is how integrated are the EDC and ePro systems? I mean, if they're perfectly integrated, then you only need trained on the EDC, and the ePro is just part of the EDC. Then you don't need to have that much training at all. If you have to log in to two separate things, I mean, this is kind of my test. If you have to log into the EDC and then log in again into the ePro, then they're not integrated actually. You have two Frankenstein-like things that have been hammered into each other. Viedoc, of course, does not work that way. When other systems are talking about how to consolidate data at the end, it's like, what do you mean consolidate? They're just already there. Like, doesn't everybody do that? Why wouldn't you do that in the first place? It's so yeah, the training for these things, yeah, it's kind of or okay. Last question. Where can I find the verb? Yeah. Uh, Maria, you wanna? I guess I can answer that too. We can answer that question offline. Yes, you find it within in the Vdoc system, and we'll post a little thing about this later. But yeah. Okay, I think that's it for today. I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank our two panelists. This was fun. It was nice chatting with you two. And yeah, for everybody listening in on the recording, yes, thank you for listening. We hope you found this useful.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.